What is up, Coach Nick here, and we're going to be covering a full body power training day, but I want to give you a little behind the scenes of what the actual split and program design is before we get into that, so you can have some context of when you would actually add this in, because I know it can get a little confusing with all the videos out there and workouts of where does this actually fit into an overall design. So I'll share with you what we're doing. So we're going to be focusing on full body power day and diving into that in great detail. But first, here's the split overall. So the first day is a full body strength day, almost a power, full body strength day. This is where we're trying to maintain as much of our strength and force output as possible as we start to shift gears and focus on more power and speed in the later days of this. So if we are not maintaining our strength, then we will see some decreases in force output and power output, and that's not what we want while we're focusing more on some of the higher velocities and elastic based training that we're going to be doing, because power is force times velocity. And while we're working over here on more of the velocity side of things, we still have to make sure that we keep our strength high and that force output high. So full body strength training day. Next day is a little bit of anaerobic conditioning. So depending on the day, there'll be a little bit of power work, a little bit of plyos going into that, but not much volume. And then it's really focusing on your glycolytic system and repeat power. So this day is probably only like 30, 45 minutes tops with everything. The day after that is either a rest, take it off, because of our athletes, they have, practices, games, things like that. So it's either a rest day, or it's, if you're in full off season, an acceleration and agility training session. Then we get into our power day. Then we're getting into a full body velocity day. So this is essentially, we're taking the load way down, maybe 20, 30%. It's much more plyometric focused, or like med ball throw focused. It's really about like trying to improve coordination, tendon stiffness, elastic components of your body, like the stretch shorten cycle, all of that. And then we have either rest or top speed training focus. But let's dive into the power training day, and I'll show you all of the methods and things that we're using in there. And if you want to grab the methods right now so you can follow along with it, go download my free guide. It has 7 training methods for explosive power and strength. All right, so this is our full body power day, and I can tell you this is probably like the longest day that we have with so many things that we're trying to complete. But warm up, we have our hip flow, and I have a video on that, a follow along video for the hip flow. It's really great, opens you up really well. A lot of people are kind of sore after they do it, but that's on my page if you want to check that out. Just band pull parts, and then we're dating a little bit of jump rope. Okay, so it's about 5 minutes of jump rope for our athletes, and this is just a way for me to sneak in a lot more extensive plyometrics, and this is consistent throughout the different days of training. What's in the actual warm-up might be a little bit more, we might add a little bit of pressing, things like that to get our athletes warm. But here's the real meat and potatoes of our training session. So we have essentially 4 kind of different blocks of training that we're doing in here. We have a vertical power, an upper body power, a posterior chain, and then we have our like med ball and rotational work that we're going to be getting into. So the first thing that we are working on, and I should explain that we're doing something called like a power complex. Okay, so when you see 1A, 2A, 3A, that's a done run right after the other, like a big superset or a giant set, or in this case, we call it a complex. Okay, so the principle behind what we're doing is that we are taking a heavier loaded power-based movement, typically in the strength speed realm or peak power realm, and then we're working through on lower subsequent portions of the force velocity curve where this could be more of a peak power, and then this is going to be like your speed strength or overspeed that you're doing. So that's a concept, essentially having a heavier loaded movement to get some post-activation potentiation, and then working through 2 different lower portions on the force velocity curve. Okay, this works really well, especially for athletes like myself that are more like muscle driven force output. I tend to get better results with the post-activation potentiation and better performance on the jumps and things when I put a more strength speed zone in terms of velocity based training, or lighter loads with a little bit of faster intent behind them. Okay, so our first one is a banded trap bar deadlift. You could substitute this out for banded squats as well, but we're gonna be right around 30 to 50% of your 1 rep max, maybe even pushing up to 60% for some of our athletes. The stronger athletes are gonna be able to push the loads a little bit higher and still maintain very good bar speed. About 0.75 to 1 meter per second is what we're looking for. So we use an app called Metric VBT that tracks it for us. It's pretty easy, it's free, it's simple. So big priming set here. Then we're gonna go into approach box jumps, where we are simply trying to gather and jump as high as we possibly can. If you really wanted to, you could add some dumbbells, maybe around 10 to 15% body weight as an alternative that you can do there. And then we move into our high speed and high velocity jumps with a band assisted jump. We're trying to get as high as we possibly can and teach our central nervous system how to fire even faster, okay? For all of these, typically we're gonna start around 3 sets of 5, and as the weeks progress, say into week 4, 5, 6, we'll eventually move into about 5 sets of 3 with this. So we can go a little bit heavier on the load, recover a little bit better with it, but we'll start at around 5 and then work our way down. Now we're gonna move into the upper body power. So this is a little bit different than the vertical power, which is more of our squat pattern. Upper body power, we're essentially doing a contrast set with the first 2 movements, and then we're gonna go and just hit a power-based movement for the back. Now in our previous training strength days and a little bit in the conditioning, we already hit some more strength on the back and some power stuff on the back, so we're really only doing 1. But a banded dumbbell bench press, 3 sets of 5, you're trying to go pretty heavy with this, but move the weight significantly well. I would say again around 50, 60%. Trying to, the thing with today is that it's maximal intent. Like, you got to give it your all, or you're not gonna be getting the development of power that you're actually looking for. Half kneeling chest pass now, so we're taking it from that loaded, more power-based movement, a little bit of strength, and then we're moving into a very, very high velocity-based movement. And then we're finishing off with a sled row, which we'll do for about 20 yards. And with these, you're trying to actually pull it as far as you possibly can. Like, the least amount of reps you can take to cover those 20 distances, the better, while also not just completely neglecting putting any weight on there, right? It's a healthy medium and healthy balance between that. So hit the legs, move to the upper body to give them a little bit of recovery. Now we're going back into the posterior chain. So on our strength day, we would have hit legs a little bit heavier and some hamstrings a little bit heavier. So now this is almost like power development, and we're not trying to hit them too hard, because on days 5 and 6, we're gonna get into some top speed, and I don't wanna have like any sore hamstrings. With this, we're really trying to work on the amortization phase and teach our athletes how to get in and out of that hip position and use their glutes really, really effectively so they can have some powerful hips. So that's why we're doing the banded kettlebell swings around the waist, because it helps pull the band or the athlete's hips back, kind of like a little bit of an overspeed, and then they have to get out of that resistance and with the kettlebell swing from it. So it really is a good primer before going into some repeat broad jumps or broad jumps. So this is a little bit more power into a lighter load, where this over here is going to be more heavy and then into some lighter loads with that. After that, now to round the workout out, we're gonna work on some more like power explosiveness, rotational power with med ball soccer throws, trying to rip it and grip it, pop the ball, lateral quick toss. With these, you're thinking, how quickly can I get in and out of that transition, and how quickly can I stop the body? So stop the body and then redirect and come back on out. And then the last one is letting it fly, step back shot put throw. So we get a little bit of lateral movement with the skater jump and pushing out and teaching the athlete how to push and utilize their legs before transferring it into their core and then out their arm, throwing it as hard as they possibly can. So this is the overall power-based day. It is an awesome day. I recommend all of you try it out. And if you want to see some more resources down below, go ahead and check that out. Other than that, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.